Readings from the Beelzebub's Tale to his grandson. 1. From chapter 16. The first principle of being existence, called plasmtamnion, is proper to all three brain beings, that is, three-centered beings like man, arising on any planet of our great universe. And the fundamental meaning and aim of their existence is to serve as the vehicle for the transmutation of cosmic substances necessary for the common cosmic trigoetodocratic process, that is, the process of involution and evolution proceeding according to the law of 3 and the law of 7 through which the universe is maintained. The second principle of being existence is the one to which all one-brained and two-brain beings, that is, insects and animals, are subject, wherever they may arise. And the meaning and aim of the existence of these beings also consists in the transmutation through them of cosmic substances, which are required, in their case, not for purposes of common cosmic character, but for that solar system alone, or even for that planet alone within which or upon which these one-brained and two-brain beings arise. 2. Excerpt from chapter 32. You will be able to understand about all those cosmic substances with which the three independent being bodies, that is, the planetary body or the physical body, the question body or the astral body, and the third body called the body of the soul are coated and perfected in the common presences of certain of your favorites only when, as I have already promised, I tell you about the fundamental cosmic laws of world creation and world existence, that is, the law of 3 and the law of 7. Nevertheless, to throw more light on our present subject, it is necessary to explain a little about the changed form of actualization in the common presence, that is, body or bodies in a broad sense, of your favorites of the second being food, the air, automatically taken in by them. At first, after the destruction of the organ condibifer, that is, an organ that was once implanted in them to protect them from the shock of perceiving reality, when they, like all the other three brain beings of our great universe, had a plasmtamnion existence, this second being food, that is, air, was transformed normally, and all the principal elements composing it, those which arise from transformations on their own planet, the part that originates from their own planet, and those which flow into their atmosphere from transformations in other concentrations of their solar system, that is, the vivifying part that comes to their planet from astral sources, were assimilated by their common presences according to definite data already in them, and the surplus of certain of the component elements of this food, not used by individual beings, passed automatically, as with us, into the possession of meritorious beings around them. But later, as I have already said, when most of them began to exist in a manner and becoming to three brain beings, great nature was constrained to change their plasmtamnion existence into an existence according to the principle of autoclonauts. And from then on, in the presence of most of them, owing to their abnormal being existence, those definite crystallizations foreseen by great nature which compose the most important part of the second being food and which, when assimilated by beings, are transformed into substances for the coating and perfecting of their question body, gradually cease to be assimilated either consciously or automatically for this purpose. And since these substances, transformed in other cosmic concentrations, kept on flowing all the time into the atmosphere of their planet, there arose in recent centuries among your unfortunate favorites yet another new disease with especially harmful action upon them. The point is that, not being used up for their predetermined purpose, these definite cosmic crystallizations, in the course of displacements of the atmosphere, concentrate in certain atmospheric strata and enter into your favorites, from time to time, in accordance with external surrounding conditions as well as with the inner state of their common presence, which by the way depends chiefly on the form of their mutual relationships. And so these cosmic crystallizations enter into them, as into apparatuses foreordained by nature for the transformation of cosmic substances needed for serving the aims of the most great common cosmic trigoatobacrat, and, not meeting with substrata that correspond to the requirements of the lawful process of Jartklum, that is, breaking up into three primordial elements, and thanks to other accidental factors, these crystallizations, during their subsequent evolutionary or involutionary transformations into new crystallizations proper to this planet, even before these transformations are complete, produce upon planetary bodies, that is, their physical bodies, the action which is characteristic of this specific new disease. Here perhaps I should add that this disease, with such a definite cause, was given different names by your favorites at different times on various parts of the surface of your planet, and the contemporary beings likewise give it different names and wiseacre in all sorts of ways to explain its origin. Among the many names for this disease of theirs the most widely used at the present time are grippe, influenza, Spanish influenza, dengue, and others. As regards the second kind of being food, that is, air, the absorption of which continues among beings even until now, ever since your favorites lost the possibility of existing according to the Fulasnatamian principle, certain of its elements continue to serve only for assisting the transformation of the first being food, that is, the ordinary food, and for removing from the planetary body certain elements that have already been utilized. 3. Excerpt from chapter 43. After telling a story about Eternak, a learned Kurd who found the chief cause of war in the nature's need to acquire for the sustaining downward creation a certain substance called askikin, which is produced by beings and released by them at the time of their death, and proposed restoring the custom of animal sacrifice, as a way to satisfy the nature's need for this substance, Beelzebub continued, as follows. So, my boy, although, as I have already told you, the hypothesis put forward by that unusual learned Kurd, Eternak, came very close to the truth, he failed to understand the most important thing, which is that the vibrations required by great nature that are formed from the emanations issuing from the process of their rascarno, that is, their deaths, have no significance quantitatively, but only qualitatively. It is possible that, since Eternak was an uncommon terrestrial being, he might have understood this, if he had known in detail the results obtained when there had been more or less established on that planet the conditions of being existence especially created for the three brain beings through the most saintly labors of the essence-loving, very saintly Ashitashinash. During that period, not only did their death rate begin to decline, but what they call their birth rate also declined. And this was, because the three brain beings there were then existing more or less, as is becoming to three-centered beings, and the emanations issuing from them yielded vibrations more akin to those required from them by nature, both for the most great common cosmic trigoatobacrat in general and for the maintenance of the moon and Anuilius, that is, another moon that the modern humanity has become unaware of, in particular. And thereafter, great nature did not fail to adapt herself to the decline in their birth rate, the more so, since for the following period the need for these vibrations to maintain the existence of the planet Moon had to be reduced. Among the diverse aspects of this fundamental question, the one relating to the meaning and aim of the existence of your favorites, is so important for understanding many things taking place on the earth, and, by the way, also for understanding everything touching the causes of war, that I find it necessary to refer to it once more. I first learned that the destiny of the three brain beings arising on this planet is chiefly to elaborate, by the very process of their existence, the vibrations required by nature for the maintenance of those former parts of their planet now called Moon and Anulius, when, as you remember, I was worthy for the second time of conversing personally with his conformity the angel, now Archangel, Lucius, that is, an angel who was promoted to the rank of Archangel after causing calamity for three brain beings on the planet Earth by proposing the implantations of Kundabafur into them, as a security measure to ensure their continued survival in a deluded state, safely protected from the risk of realizing why they were created. His conformity then told me that, although the movement of the two former parts of the planet Earth had been finally regulated to accord with the movement of the general harmony, and though all apprehension of some surprise or other in the immediate future had vanished, nevertheless, to avoid any possible complications in the distant future, it had been categorically decided by the most high and most sacred individuals to take the necessary measures to ensure the formation on the earth of what is called the sacred Askikin, so that this sacred cosmic substance, indispensable for the maintenance of the Moon and Anulius, might issue continuously from your planet. His conformity also explained that this cosmic substance, the sacred Askikin, exists throughout the universe, generally blended with the sacred substances of rustness and healthiness, and therefore, in order to have the degree of vivifyingness required for such maintenance, the sacred substance Askikin must first be freed from the other two substances. To tell the truth, my boy, I did not understand at once all that he told me. It all became clear to me only later when, during my studies of the fundamental cosmic laws, I learned that these sacred substances of rustness and healthiness are precisely those substances which enter into the formation and perfecting of the higher being bodies of the three brain beings, that is, the Kushan body and the body of the soul, and that the separation of the sacred Askikin from the two other substances proceeds when beings, on whatever planet they may be, transmute these sacred substances in themselves for the forming and perfecting of their higher bodies, by means of conscious labor and intentional suffering. And when I became interested in these favorites of yours and began to observe and study their strange psyche, I finally understood why and to what ends great nature herself and the most high and most saintly individuals are always patiently adapting themselves to all things. In this connection, the following personal opinion was formed in me. If only these favorites of yours would seriously ponder all this and serve nature honestly in this respect, their being self-perfecting might then proceed automatically, even without the participation of their consciousness, and in any case, the poor nature of this ill-fated planet would not have to strain so hard to adapt herself to remain within the common cosmic harmony.